Good evening, everyone, and thanks for coming. Tonight is March 7th, 2018. You're watching the West Bridgewater Board of Selectmen. If you are here in our audience, we let you know now that our meeting is being filmed. It will be shown in whole or on part on local access and on the internet. We just want you all to know you will be viewed on television. If you would, please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And the first item on the agenda is a change of beneficiary interest in the transfer of stocks. I will read the public notice. Pursuant to Chapter 138 and Chapter 140 of the Mass General Laws, a public hearing will be held Wednesday, March 7th, 2018, at 7 p.m. in the Selectmen's Meeting Room, Town Hall, 65 North Main Street, West Bridgewater, Massachusetts, on the application for an all-alcohol license change of beneficiary interest and transfer of stock for the Canoe Club Ballroom Incorporated, 2 South Street, West Bridgewater, Massachusetts. Interested parties are invited to be present. Jerry Lawrence, Selectman. This was published in the Enterprise News on February 15th. I believe we have the rollers here, so.
Move to open the hearing. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Open. Stacy, hi, welcome.
Hi.
Would you like to tell us a little bit of what you're doing and,
Well, running the canoe club, which is what I wanted to do my whole life. My father passed away in 2015, and everything went into a trust for the canoe club, the stock and all, and on my mother's demise, which she is still alive, everything would be going to myself. My sister Sherry and my mother have decided that they wanted to transfer everything now while she was still living, and they signed off, and we have everything all the documents signed and ready to go, and this was the final piece.
great. This isn't what you're here for. I'm going to say, if people haven't been in the canoe club over the last couple of years, spectacular renovation. The place is absolutely beautiful. You did an incredible job. It's great to preserve such an awesome building that's such a great part of our town's history. So thank you. And again, if people haven't been in there, I know you have open houses quite often. People should stop in, and it's an awesome, awesome facility. Does anyone have any questions?
Oh, I'm just glad that you're going to continue in the family tradition. Your father was one great guy, and he does a great job, and I know you will do a good job, too.
Tracy, everything in order?
Everything's in order.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the change.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much and good luck, and thanks for doing business in town. Next item in is swearing in of the deputy chief. Could someone?
Mr.
Oh, sorry.
Chairman, could you take
Oh,
a
you
vote to
closed
close
the
the
hearing.
hearing, please?
All right, motion to close the hearing.
So moved. All right.
Anthony and Eldon, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hearing is closed. Cameron, could you call on the fire department? What's that?
She's here.
Annie, why don't you come on up front, Annie?
Already?
Yeah. If y'all want to come in, plenty of room. If we have the chief and retired chief up here.
I know.
Come over this side, chief.
Hey, how you doing? Hi, Len. Good.
It is a great pleasure to have with us tonight our fire chief, Kenny May, with our recently retired fire chief, Chief Hunt, and we also have with us our police chief, Vic Flaherty, with us tonight. And this is a great evening for us to celebrate as we swear in the Deputy Chief, Lincoln Tebow. So, Annie, I will turn it over to you.
Okay, are you ready? Yep. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name,
I, Lincoln Tebow,
having been appointed Deputy Fire Chief for the town of West Bridgewater,
having been appointed Deputy Fire Chief for the town of West Bridgewater,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform all the duties
discharge and perform all of the duties
incumbent on me
incumbent on me
according to the best of my ability and understanding,
according to the best of my ability and understanding,
agreeable to the Constitution of the United States of America
agreeable to the Constitution of the United States of America,
and the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts
and the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
and the town of West Bridgewater.
and the town of West Bridgewater.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Chief, you have any words to say?
Oh, I'm honored. He's worked hard for his whole career, and it's been an honor to have him with me the whole time.
Good. Well, thank you very much, and I thank your entire department for coming in tonight. And while you're here, I know it's later on our agenda, you all did a spectacular job during our storm over the weekend and the end of the week. So we thank you all for your dedication and hard work to the town. Outstanding job, so thank you all very much. Can we take a brief recess for some photos? Sure. Have a second? We're in recess? Yeah, thanks. I know, good stuff. And this is alphabetical order. Deborah Lancaster and Denise Reyes. Thank you all for coming, and thanks for your interest and willingness to serve. Good luck to you all. Okay, moving on. Except for review the minutes of February 21st.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approve the minutes of February 7th.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Accept Complete Streets Work Group. Tracy.
Sure, so, Christina Telly reached out to various departments and committees and, even a couple of residents around here, Barry. And all of these people have expressed an interest and desire to help with the Complete Streets program, prioritization plan. So this is just asking for a formal vote to appoint this committee.
Okay, and the meetings will be open meetings where anybody interested in sidewalks and the Complete Street program is welcome to attend and have their input heard and unofficially be an active member of that group. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Release the executive session minutes of October 5th, 2016, March 15th, 2017, August 3rd, 2017, September 20th, 2017,
October 4th, 2017, October 18th, 2017, November 1st, 2017, and December 6th, 2017.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
I am going to recuse myself from the next discussion as a active member of the Lions Club that hosts the West Bridgewater Park Day celebration. I will turn it over to Anthony. I will stay in the room to answer any questions.
All right, so September 9th, application for a one-day liquor and entertainment license at the town park for the Park Day Festival.
I'll make a motion to that effect, and any fees will be waived
Okay.
as far as the liquor goes.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. Tracy, the surrender of Epicure's liquor license.
Sure, so, we recently received notification from Epicure from the owner that, they were considering surrendering their license, so we sent them notification. They subsequently reached out and said that they will not be relocating, unfortunately, somewhere in town, so they're officially, surrendering their beer and wine alcohol license.
Does that require a vote?
It does, too.
Entertain a motion to accept the rendering of their license.
So moved.
Second. Alderman Anthony, all those in favor? Aye. Scott Golder, custodian of tax possession property. David?
Sure, so Mr. Chairman, members of the board, what I'm going to ask you to do is to actually take two votes. One is that I'm going to ask you to appoint our treasurer, Scott Golder, as custodian of tax possession property. What that means is that when a property is foreclosed on through tax and title, is that he will then have the ability to be able to go to auction, sell off the property, so we can at least recoup some of the expense, if not all of the expense. The second vote that I will ask you to take is that in your packet, I have a new policy that I am proposing. By naming Scott as custodian, I want to make sure that we also have checks and balances. And so there are two items to that policy. One is that we are going to make sure that prior to him auctioning off a property, he must notify the board a minimum of 90 days in advance. So that way I have an opportunity to be able to review it, and the board can make a decision if you want to retain the property. If you think so, it is in the best interest of the town. The second is that by January 1st on an annual basis in the month of December every year, is that he will then present a list to me so I can review to make sure that we are not allowing any of our properties to stay in tax title process for much longer than they should.
Okay, the notification kind of falls right in line with our property. Whenever we get rid of a vehicle or anything, notification goes out to all the departments to make sure there's no interest or need for that property. So that falls right in line with our past practice. Do I have a motion for the appointment and the adoption of the policy?
Yes, I'll make a motion to that effect.
Second.
Any further questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, acceptance of a street. David?
Yep, so Prashani Resiani Lane.
That's why I didn't say it.
I know. Has already been accepted at town meeting, so there is not a vote necessary. However, what it is that the town clerk had to certify it after it had been accepted by the Attorney General's office. It has, so it is before you. It's unclear on the document as to whether they want just the chair or the full board, but since I figure we had a meeting tonight, let's just have the full board vote to accept it and then just sign it.
Where is that street located? I know I talked to you this afternoon.
It's right down near you, so if you go right ahead.
Well, Reno Bresciani owned all the land in Bridgewater and coming down into West Bridgewater, and he passed away several years ago. So I don't know exactly where that street is, but he owned quite a bit of land in Bridgewater.
Yeah, he was a
So-
police officer in Bridgewater too, I know that.
So if you travel 106 heading towards East Bridgewater, you'll come to the set of lights where East Street crosses. You'll take a right-hand turn. You go past the highway barn for the golf course. You'll go over a set of tracks, and it's on the right-hand side.
And his sister lives up on North Main Street here too, Nancy Bashani.
We love our mid-meeting history lessons.
So what do we got?
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. OCPC Technical Assistance Support. Tracy?
So, recently, Selectman Moreira, alerted us to some potential assistance available through the Old Colony Planning Council, OCPC. So we applied, and we recently found out that our, application was accepted, and we are eligible to receive some assistance and expert
expertise from OCPC. They'll kind of help us walk through the Complete Streets program specifically. So it's great that we're able to leverage their expertise and history.
Very good.
Well, I just want to thank you, because I come in late, I got that late, and I brought it right in, you get right on it, and sent it in. That's probably going to West be about $50,000 to us, and with that other committee, and for the sidewalks and everything else, and the streets and everything else, this money's going to come in handy there for that. So I think that's in conjunction with what we're doing.
Could we send a thank you letter acknowledging our gratitude for the funds? Thank you. You don't need a vote to accept it, correct? Okay. Our new intern.
So as you know, a handful of years ago, I started an internship program with Bridgewater State University. I'm really enthusiastically excited about the program. We are able to, for only $5,000 a year, we are able to bring in somebody from the university that has special inclination to work in the field that we do. We're able to have that person learn a great deal and also at the same time provide assistance to us to be able to do a whole bunch of research. This will be our 4th intern in 2 years. The other 3 interns have all found employment within municipal government, so I think that, if you want to use the term paying it forward, but I will tell you, I'm really happy about that, and we have in front of us Amma Bray. Tracy did all of the...
Welcome.
Yep. Tracy did all of the initial screening. She met with Amma. I can tell you, she's an extremely impressive young lady, and she's here to say hi and answer any of your questions.
Very good. I don't have any questions, but welcome, and it's an exciting town, lots of good things going on.
Yeah, welcome. You have great staff next to you on both sides. Best of luck.
I'd like to welcome you here, and of course, anything you need from us, just let us know. And we converge with each other pretty well, Work as a team.
And the most important thing is you don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting if you don't want to. But you're welcome to. It gets painful. Okay, thank you very much and welcome. Town meeting and special town meeting date for June 4th.
Yep.
David?
So we have already scheduled the town meeting date of June 4th. You'll recall at our last meeting, I asked to take that vote subject to approval from the school. The school has acknowledged the fact that that night is available. So that has already been established. What I will ask you to do is to take a vote to open both the annual town meeting and special town meeting warrant vote tonight. And then I will also provide 2 dates that I will ask you to close it. Do you want those dates?
Please.
The annual town meeting, I will ask you to close on April 20th, which is a Friday at 12 noon. And for the special town meeting, I will ask you to close it on May 11th, again, a Friday at 12 noon.
And all departments are aware of these, will be aware of these dates,
They
correct?
most certainly will be.
Loud and proud as always. All right.
So moved.
I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Discuss the medical marijuana referendum questions. David?
Yep, so Chairman Lawrence and I had a lengthy conversation about this last week, and I think he came up with really an excellent idea. So what Tracy and I did was we worked this past week in creating 3 referendum questions. So I want people to know exactly why we're doing this and why it isn't important. We currently have a moratorium in place for recreational marijuana. This is not medical, this is entirely in reference to recreational, which was legalized in November of 2016. So if we do nothing as a town, that means effective July 1, 2018, that businesses will be able to come into town and by right establish either a cultivation center or a retail establishment for marijuana. And the town may want to do that. We don't know. We have to do something at our June town meeting, and I think that it would be unproductive for us to have 4, 5, or 6 warrant articles kind of guessing what the town might want. So what Chairman Lawrence said is that why don't we, at our annual election in April, is to have advisory, non-binding questions. So question 1, as you can see, is that we will ask our residents, will you be in support of retail marijuana facilities here in town? Question number 2 is, would you be in support of cultivating centers in town for recreational marijuana? And question 3 is, should we zone for it or should we not zone for it? And I think that this will give us a really good flavor of what the town wants. And I want people to know that the way the regulation is written is that the town of West Bridgewater, by a very narrow vote, less than 100 votes out of 4,200, voted against the legalization of marijuana, which means that we have a right at town meeting to outright ban it if we so choose to. If we don't want to, and we just want to be able to regulate for it, we have that ability to do it just at that one meeting as well. So this will give us a good indication as to what we should do over the next couple of months in preparing our warrant articles. So we have had all this language vetted by town council. Also, our town clerk has looked at it as well. On our second page, we have actually written out summaries, so that way we're going to attempt in some form or fashion to also provide summaries to our citizenry. Unfortunately, the Secretary of State's office has told us today, we cannot provide these summaries at the ballot or at the election hall. I think that's unfortunate because we're not trying to sway anyone anyway. All we are is just explanations with what a yes vote means and what a no vote means. It's unbiased, it's neutral, but they're not going to allow us to do it. So we certainly will put it on the website. We'll probably put it on our Facebook page, but we're going to have to make sure the information gets out. So what I would be looking for from you is 2 votes, is to, 1, accept the language for the questions, and then accept the summaries, unless the board doesn't want to post for the advisory questions.
I had asked, obviously, my opinion on this has changed since it initially passed in the state. Numerous communities, about 100 have voted not to allow it at all in their community. I think the biggest thing that people need to look at is that it is going to be legal. People are going to be able to purchase it. If it's not here, they're going to be able to purchase it elsewhere. They're also going to be able to receive home delivery of it. It can also be mailed, and people can go elsewhere and purchase it. I think if the town of West Bridgewater doesn't embrace some form of allowing this, we are potentially going to lose out on millions and millions of dollars that could potentially come to the town of West Bridgewater. I am not a marijuana user. I don't really care either way. I just think this is an opportunity for the town to receive some good revenue. I think we could restrict it to our adult entertainment district, which is also our industrial district, and also where the medical marijuana is zoned. I think if we simply say no to this, we're turning away the inevitable, and I think it would be a loss to the town. With that being said, that's just my personal opinion. I had asked David to get to put some items together that we could put on the ballot. It's non-binding. It just gives the board a little direction of where the people in the town stand and to see what their thoughts are on it. This will be, again, it's not an item for debate or discussion. It will be on the ballot, voted on, and then debated at town meeting.
Correct. David, are there a number of licenses like there are with alcohol? And
Yeah.
how many each town can have?
So at this point, there is not a quota system, but again, all the regulations have not finally passed the Cannabis Control Commission.
So it will be coming,
Yes.
probably.
And I'm sure that what we see as draft regulations now will change.
I basically feel a lot like Jerry did it. We were against it. The people of the town voted against it in the ballot there, and we had a moratorium on, and I feel the same way, but I think this is a good way to handle it and send it forward and have it as the questions there and get some more before we take a final vote on it.
David, I would ask the wording on question 3 just to include as informational, because I don't think a lot of people know that the industrial area is also our adult entertainment district, medical marijuana district, and our industrial district, just so that's becomes more common knowledge. Years back, the state said we cannot keep adult entertainment out of our town, including adult videos, movies, and gentlemen's clubs, if you will, or ladies' clubs, if you will. But the town did have to district for it, and once we did, then we're in compliance. Which I'm going to guess in a few years from now, the same thing's going to happen with this. So I say we jump on the bandwagon now and make a little money for our community, but that's just my opinion. Again, this will give the voters an opportunity to let us know what they think.
That is correct. So I would need a vote of the board to be able to place these questions on the ballot, and I would also need a vote of the board to accept the summaries, and then Tracy and I will figure out how legally we can make sure the summaries are posted.
Neil, if you have a question, I'm just going to make it clear, this is not a campaign stance, this isn't a campaign area. If it's something you can ask the administrative office outside of a meeting, I ask that you do that, because we're not going to keep going on and on.
I'm just saying, all the elections we had in town, I never seen a referendum questions on the ballot. It was just elect candidates. We already proved it at the ballot back whenever it was proved the marijuana. We should have more information. We know how the town is gonna go when you give education. I don't think these should be on the ballot when you go to vote for the selectmen or any other boss. For the fact is, some people might have a different opinion. It could
It's
affect the
non-binding,
outcome.
so it doesn't matter what anyone votes.
Well, they might go
Just
in
to
there with
give
the
an
thing, you're
idea.
against this, I'm for this, I'm not voting for you, that's all. I think it should be off the ballot, just leave it strictly to the candidates
Okay.
on election day.
If I may, I just want to make sure that people are aware, in order for us to have any ballot initiatives, they have to be already at pre-scheduled meetings, an annual election or a primary election. So because our moratorium is up on June 30th, we must do it prior to that, and the only annual election is our annual election, So if we wanted to wait until, say, November, when we have our primaries, we could do that, but between July 1 and November, you would be subjecting yourself that anybody could come in, file, and they would by right be able to do whatever they want, because we'd have no zoning for it. That's the only reason we had to pick this election. We really didn't want to do it either.
Okay, we're going to move on. I'll entertain a motion to approve the placement of the questions.
So, second?
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Review site plan 38 Turnpike Street.
Yep, so this is a landscaping company that is looking to locate behind 38 Turnpike Street, which is currently Advanced Auto Import. It is considered, because landscaping, it would normally go for site plan review before the ZBA, but because it is in our water resource protection zone, the planning board is going to be able to do what we call a comprehensive permit and take both at the exact same time. So this is just normal site plan review.
Okay, as some of our notes to be passed on, I'd like to pass on, of course, consideration for dirt, dust, and noise for abutters, though this is in our business area down there. There are residents that live in that area and have been long-time residents, so I'd like to make sure consideration is taken for the residents, along with aesthetics of the area.
Pass on to the planning board with those recommendations.
Okay, motion, do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. Site plan review, 635 Manley Street, Boston Trailer.
So this apparently is this will be a Class 1 license. The Board of Selectmen will license all Class 1s. So this will again go before the planning board. The planning board would conduct its normal site plan review. This is for a business that sells and services large commercial tractors. We do have some pictures in there of the trailers themselves. There you are. So those are the trailers that they would be selling and working on. Again, it's in our industrial area, so it is allowed, but because it's in our water resource protection zone, the planning board will get involved, do site plan review, and then we'll come back before you to issue a Class 1 license at a later date.
David, is there any additional permanent structures going on the property?
What's going on that property right now? Okay, I didn't know if it was one of those ones that has the trailers in there, which don't look too pretty up there, you know, I just was wondering, you know.
I think it is one of those places that's along with the pond, I believe.
Oh, almost to the post office.
I believe so.
Well, maybe it should be, they're asked to spruce up a little bit there, because I know one of them there is across from Sean Mills there, and where he keeps his property deed, and he come for us before, Jerry Warner, and we asked to have the trees put up, and we put trees up there so simple, they don't even get started to grow, you know? And
I agree.
that place looks like a mess up there. I think the aesthetics of that we ought to make sure that goes on, convey that to the planning board.
Yep, absolutely. Unfortunately, I don't think that's this property. I think this is the well-maintained one down the end, but,
Yeah, almost the property.
yeah.
Well, okay.
But I agree, either way, Eldon, I think that needs to be in there. A few years back, we tried to come up with a blight property bylaw that was failed by our bylaw study committee that would have helped address issues like that, but it was turned down. Okay, we have a motion to pass on to the planning board with our concerns.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Street signs of Matfield Woods. I had asked David to place this on the agenda. During the storm, I was out quite a bit along with my son Cameron, and one of the places of concern in town is always Westbridge Landing and Matfield Woods. I'm sorry, Westbridge, yes, I'm saying that's right. As we're driving through Matfield Woods, there was a fire engine and a police cruiser that made 2 or 3 turnarounds looking for an appropriate street. After they finally find the place, Cameron and I drove around and saw many of their signs are bleached out. They're the old small fonts, or there's simply no existing street signs at crossing. And in my opinion, this is a matter of life and death. We have a lot of seniors living in that area, and I would like to send a very strongly worded letter to the owners suggesting that they remark all streets. Of course, I'd like it if they'd use our town-spirited signs, but that would be up to them. That's a private community. But with the appropriate size font that's now standard. Again, this is really a safety issue, and I think it needs to be done sooner than later. I understand we have new managers of the property that have been pretty spectacular, and if we do this, I'd like to CC it to the association.
Yeah, well, I think it's a great idea. And especially with all our ambulances and everything else, we can't find the streets, we got a big problem.
Yeah. And I did talk to the chief, and he said it is a problem, and he said even a lot of the signs that are there are very hard to see.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
March 14th, 2018 meeting. Oh, we're going to hold off on this until the water department comes. Ratify chairman's emergency declaration due to the March 2nd storm.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
While we're on the storm, I've already thanked the fire department, but while I was out, I also enjoyed some great food and great company. And my kids got to meet a lot of the seniors. We spent a lot of time at the senior center, and our council on aging directors here who did a spectacular job, not only this storm, but the storm before that, and the first storm kept our snowplow drivers well fed and warm, but there was quite a bit of people there throughout the storm, and I think you were there almost 3 days straight, 24 hours a day, fresh coffee, and food, and some spectacular residents there taking advantage of the needed services. So absolutely above and beyond, and I know the chief's not here. He said you were a breath of fresh air, and despite the circumstances, things were flawless. And I know we have a lot of new department heads, but really the Chief May was singing your praises and said it was flawless. And I agree. Me and my kids got to spend a lot of time there with you. I'm going to say we actually went down to volunteer, and she has things so well under control. There wasn't a thing anyone needed to do. And really commend you for an awesome, awesome job. And not only that, your family was all there helping and pitching in. So thank you very much.
I'd like to continue on that too. I spent quite a lot of time myself over there with her, and everything you said and more. I'd like to extend this a little bit further too. As we were going through this thing, and you know, us being town leaders and having no communication from the community as the town hall closed, the only thing that we have is our cell phone, okay, no way they can get a hold of us. People didn't like that kind of service there. So I was told, and while we were down there, that we probably wouldn't get our lights back by Tuesday. And that to me didn't go over too big. I was at the Family Dollar, and I got a call from our state senator, Timothy, who does a great job for us out there anyhow, and he jumped right into this, and I told him what the situation was. I was down there to pick up a couple of candles because I said, well, we're in for the long haul, and I'm prepared to do it, okay? He says, I will call National Grid, he says, and I'll tell you, I don't know what happened with coincidence, but by the time I got home, I did 2 other stops, so his lights were on. He followed up the next day and asked if we had any other, and I said, well, maybe you can get a hold of the fire chief. He says, no, he says, National Grid knows what lights are out, and he's found. That man does a tremendous job for us, and I think you ought to give him credit. I'd like to send a letter of thanks for him for getting involved in this, and I wish other legislators that represent us down here would show up down there and at least concerned. When somebody does good like that, I'd like to make sure that they are appreciated by us, because he certainly is a great contributor to our community. He represents us very well. I'd like to make a motion to that effect. We send him a letter of thanks.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
But there's no heroes like our hometown heroes, so don't let that overshadow you.
Oh, I'm telling you.
You did an incredible job. All right, budget hearings, 1350.
So that's for the town accountant.
Can you present?
I am going to present for that one.
Sorry, Ellen.
You're throwing things at me now, huh?
I'm the one that threw the power switch on, Ellen.
Yeah, I figured that.
He shut it off too.
No, we just keep it, yes.
So you'll see budget 1350, basically it is level funded in every single column except for the first two. The one is for the appointed official for our town accountant. I'd like to point out to the board that, as you can see, is that we are still almost $10,000 less than we were 3 fiscal years ago. We hired a new town accountant. She works more on a part-time basis. She does everything that the previous town accountant did and more. She is excellent, and we're still saving the taxpayer about $10,000. Plus, because she's already retired, we don't have additional benefits for expenses. So she's fantastic. The clerical union, we budgeted 2.5% raise. Everything else is level funded year over year.
If you haven't had the opportunity to meet her, she is a spectacular woman. She really knows what she's doing, knows to the grind every minute she's here, so great job for her.
We have a great arrangement.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve? Pass on, I should say, to pass on to the finance
So moved.
committee.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. 5410, Council on Aging. Welcome. You want to come on to the front row? Now, what we're asking you to do is go through any major increases, both decreases and increases, with a brief explanation. And that's it.
That's it, okay, well, pretty much, we have, we also level funded, however, increased property maintenance line item because we've had to put many dollars and time into the generator. And right now, for this storm, it worked absolutely fine, but it has given us a lot of trouble to the tune of almost $9,000 in the last year and a half.
What kind of trouble are you having with that generator?
Stops running.
That is problematic.
Doesn't work.
Okay.
Tom is on it, and he has also mentioned that this generator is standalone, and there are other generators in town that are under contract by the same company. This one is not, and I think I'd like to see at some point in time all the generators in town being contracted in the same company.
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing is your generator's big use. During inclement weather, normally you would close for services. When town hall's closed, you guys are
Correct.
closed.
But being
So
the-
basically, the need for the generator is emergency management.
Correct.
And it's.
Being the shelter for town, we.
Right. My
sort of-
discussion with the fire chief and a few others is really there should be a line item in our town budget for emergency management, which would include the maintenance of your generator along with, some, I don't mean free cash, but line item for supplies. I know you all ran out and got a number of people brought down donations and whatnot, but that's out of luck, not out of plan.
Correct,
And I know
correct.
you were ready, I don't want to, you were ready anyways, but those are things that are very hard to plan for.
Sure.
And really, it's very understandable that that's
Sure.
an item that really doesn't belong in your budget.
No. Also, I have asked for, let's see what I have here. I've asked for extra funds or more funding for programs that we're putting into place. We're looking to do a couple of evening programs, and I've stretched my staff right now far enough, and we would need to have a staff person in-house to run these programs. So I was looking for a salary for an activities coordinator that would come in and open and close and be there for questions and help set up and perhaps take down whatever furniture and whatever they were moving. 2 programs hopefully coming in, I was thinking in the summertime or by early fall would be yoga and a Zumba class. A senior, it's called Zumba Gold, so it's a little more lighter for the seniors.
I'm just going to say, as you probably know, I've been a big advocate of that building being open up more hours to more people and the general public. I think it's a wonderful idea. I think it's a lot of bang for your buck because you're adding 1 personnel, but the availability of that building for a lot of night activities, not just for seniors, but for everybody in town. So
Well, what we're finding is that there are a lot of seniors, including myself, that are working full-time jobs and wanting to be part of some of the daytime programs but aren't able to get there. And many times we'll show somebody our program schedule, and they'll say, please, can you have programs at night so I can attend them? So we're working on that for this year. Also, Saturday, we have between 100 and 120 people coming to Weight Watchers on Saturday mornings. We need to be open at 7:30, and we're open until 12:30. And again, I'm stretching my staff really pretty thin
Absolutely.
to do that, and a lot of it I'm asking them to do part-time because I haven't had the funds in the budget for that. We talked about the property maintenance, but then we have the equipment repairs. Oh, that's the generator, sorry. Property maintenance, janitorial, we're looking to have our floors cleaned in the wintertime, not just the summer. They're murdering with the salt and the sand and everything that comes off the parking lot on their shoes. So I would like to do that after the hard winter, again, to save the floors.
That might be something good to get a bid from our vendor that does Town Hall. They do a great job for us.
Yes, I already used ComClean for the floors. We use them in the summer. They gave me a good price for the winter clean as well for this year, and I was able to find a little extra money in there to do that in this budget.
How old is that building now?
We're going on 17 years, I believe, 16 or 17 years. I'd have to look up to
Are
when the
there any other
ribbon
more
cutting.
major maintenance?
Maintenance issues, not at this time.
We were able to take care of quite a few of them a few years back. The entranceway, the new doors.
Yes, yeah.
It's getting at that age where it might.
We're finding that we had to replace the gutters last year in the front of the building. We were having some leaks. This would have just been a disaster in that hall, the last two rainstorms. But we've managed to do those, and but we're keeping up with it, hopefully.
Building always looks impeccable.
Thank you. Dues and meetings, it's just a slight amount of money I've increased because I would like to send our outreach coordinator to some of the educational series that they have for Old Colony Elderly Services programs. And also myself, I'd like to go to the Massachusetts Council on Aging Annual Conference. They have a lot of opportunity for us to both learn a lot of things to enhance our programs.
Great. Any questions?
I have none. Like I said, she does a terrific job over there, and it seems to be getting more and more there for the lunches too, and they seem to be going good. And
Yeah, we're going between 45 and 75 for lunches on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Motion to pass on to the Finance Committee.
so moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Brutal.
David, we have a number here, a number of budgets at 8:30 that you're presenting. We're a little bit early for the others. 7:45 is the Water Department. They're not here yet.
Yep.
Okay. You want to tell them to come in if they want? You want to go ahead, David?
No, that's
Start?
Oh, all right.
Some of yours are pretty quick.
Yep, so 1965 Economic Development Commission. The committee hasn't been up and running. However, I say this year after year after year, we need to get the committee up and running. The new fire chief has now been appointed to it. My recommendation is that it's $3,700, we fund it. It would be a level funding year over year. If we don't spend it, it goes back to free cash at the end.
Okay.
I just think it's wise for us to continue to do that.
David, did those members remain on, the ones that you had sent letters to, or?
At that time, they said they wanted to, but they have not met.
Evening, gentlemen. Motion to pass 1965 on to the Finance Committee.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Gentlemen, good evening, welcome. Yeah, we skipped over one item on our agenda, which is the town meeting, special town meeting articles for the Water Department, for the special town meeting, I'm sorry, that's the March 14th meeting. So we could have them discussed by you all, can give a little explanation to them a little bit better than we could. Could we bring that page up? It's page 61. These articles at this town meeting will all be Water Department articles. Yes, sir. So if you don't mind, you can give a real quick description of each of the articles and...
Okay. Article number 1 is for station number 1, which is down on Sear Street. Station was originally built in 1948 and it was remodeled. Well, 2 new wells were put in about 76, and then it was remodeled a number of years later, but we always had a horizontal pump system, and that pumping station is permitted to pump 1.1 million gallons a day. And right now, it's only producing 360,000 gallons a day. So what we're planning on doing is, the gallons per foot is way down in the well, so we've gone out to bid, and we're gonna have the wells cleaned and brought back to their full capacity of the 1.1 million. And we had originally budgeted 581,000 is what we estimated the cost was gonna be. And the total project came in at 596,000. But we already budgeted in Article, we already had 147,571. So this article is gonna be read at town meeting now to say 348,840.
Okay.
So the bids come in about $100,000 less than we anticipated.
Great. Any questions, Article 1? Okay, Article 2, Rick?
Okay, Article 2, this is a hydraulic model. Whenever we want to know how much water is available in a certain part of town, the computer can now generate that. We usually hire an engineering firm. When the project was planned up on Scotland Street, we asked the contractor was going to pay for it. We asked an engineer to do it. He never did it. We never saw it. A lot of times these projects are so big that you never get them in time to make any decisions. So what we decided to do is we're going to buy our own program. We're going to own it. So if we switch engineers, we're going to own the program. How it works is you go around and you flow every hydrant in town and you measure how much water you have and what the drop in pressure is at each hydrant. And then you feed that into the computer. So if you have problems with somebody says their neighborhood's got low water pressure, and you can tell where the restriction is. If there's a gate closed or something like that, the computer model will tell you right away where the area is, because it's all laid out by the size of the mains and everything, and it can figure out where that problem is. The other thing that it'll do is, we used to be pretty simple. We did a flushing program. We knew that we shut off all the pumps, we flowed the hydrants, and we could, well, the water was always fed from the tank to the hydrant that we were running. So you always knew which way the water was flowing. So you could shut certain gates down. Now we've added another tank at the other end of town. The water flows in 2 different directions. So if you're in the middle of town somewhere and you're between the 2 tanks, you don't know which tank you're really pulling from, so you can't visualize underground which way the water's going. The idea is to get the velocity up and the pipe so you're cleaning it. So this computer model, before you start, will lay out every flushing program for every night, which gates are closed, which hydrants are open, and what the velocity of the water will be, so you can get the best cleaning effect. And then the third thing, we're going to own the program. So if we switch engineers and we've already got all the data fed in, and somebody proposes a subdivision in town, what the engineer will do is he'll just plug into the model whatever their engineer says that the demand's going to be for domestic water and fire protection, and instantly we'll know whether we can support it or we can't, or if improvements have to be made, and they're usually done by the contractor. So that's added on to the cost of the project.
Rick, does the program, or the come with maintenance, ongoing maintenance for that program in case there's failure in the system or the program, and any training?
Most of this work when we start out is going to be done by our engineer, and our crews will be going out with the engineer, gathering the data, and then we'll probably be doing a lot of the data entry of the flow information. But it's all gotta be done by the engineer who has the experience with it. The problem is, a lot of times, like, when we were using Dufresne and Henry, they computer modeled Manley Street, that section when we built the tank, so we knew how much water flow we'd have on Manley Street to help the businesses up there. But now that we're not using them anymore, they have the program,
Right,
so we're out of luck,
okay.
so.
And this is a common, other communities use the same program, it's kind of tried and true?
Oh yeah, all the engineering firms own it, and
Right.
they all usually sell it to as a service
Right.
to the town. So this way here, we're gonna own it, and if we switch engineers, we'll still have it. We don't have to pay somebody to do any more. And the nice thing is, if the Board of Appeals or somebody like that is trying to figure out if the town could support a subdivision, you know, if it's too big or not for the size of the water mains in the area, we should know within a week or two, not wait months. We should know pretty quick.
Anyone have any questions on Article 2?
So that's 58,800 for the total
So that
package.
number's correct. Okay, Article 3?
This one here is for the GIS flyover. This is gonna give us real high resolution.
Yeah, but this one we already went over.
Cost with you guys?
Yeah, we went over this one already at one
Oh,
point.
you did?
Yep.
So I don't need
Anyone
to-
have any questions on GPS? Okay.
Okay. Article number 4, this one here is the software that goes with our meter reading system for meter readings. And it's really outdated, and they want $200 an hour because we haven't updated the, the service. So the software is $21,918, but that goes with our almost $1 million worth of meters, so I guess.
Rick, how many different programs are you guys running to read meters? I know we don't have, oh, do we now?
We do- we
Have
have
all
one.
meters everywhere?
We just have the drive-through now.
Okay, so everyone has the same meter, so it's all in the same system, okay?
Yep. And it's really accurate, and we started with a drive-around system years ago, and we looked pretty funny. We just have to get out of the truck, hold the wand up until it picked us up. Now you could drive like 20, 30 miles an hour down the street, and it picks up streets, 10 houses back, so it's pretty powerful.
What's the life expectancy of a program? How long did you have the last one?
20
Long time,
years.
huh? Okay.
About 20 years, yeah. Then the batteries start going dead.
Yeah.
That was our problem with the last one. The technology was getting older, but then the batteries went dead, and then they were just like moving on. It's just like computers, they just move on so fast to something else.
Any questions on Article 4?
No.
Okay. Article 5.
I don't have an article.
Oh, okay, that's right. That one's ours.
Mr. Chairman,
Explain that
Yes.
one.
just one quick question. I just want to verify, we wrote the articles that they're transfers from water surplus. I just want to verify that's what you're looking to do, correct?
Yep.
Okay, good.
All on surplus.
David, you want to do our 2 real quick, and then we'll go on to their budget?
Yep, Article 5 is in reference to some poles that had to be replaced by National Grid. We had to reaffix our lines. It cost us about $6,000. We paid for it out of our IT budget, but we have to replenish it, so we'll look to transfer money into that. And Article 6 is a property with a billboard up on Walnut Street that has gone into tax title. We're looking to sell off the property so we can recoup our expenses and let somebody else start to manage the billboard and hopefully get a taxpayer up there.
I entertain a motion to recommend all articles with our approval.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now we'll go to the water budget.
Sorry, if I can interrupt for 1 second.
Yeah.
David, did you want to assign your ears to?
Oh, yeah, I'm so sorry.
Okay. Motion that the water department will present all water budget items.
So moved.
Should Mr. Sarro present?
Yes, and he will be there. I've already spoken to him.
Okay. And do I have a presenter for the billboard?
Yep, it'll be Mr. Golder.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great, so move. All right. Moving on to water budget hearing. It is 4,500.
Okay, we don't have too many increases. Most of them are just in the salaries. One is official. Last year was 84,460. It's gonna be 98,371. We put that in line with the with the contracts that the highway and the DPW now has. And then the clerical, and that's all union contract. We don't have anything to do with that, but that budget line has gone from 26,000 to 30,000, 26,436 to 30,548. Labor, because of they were given more hours, minimum, from 2 hours to 3 hours, 3 hours to 4 hours. So that changed from 206,546 to 223,631. Office manager is going from 61,662 to 65,244. Overtime has gone from 33,717 to 40,076. Longevity, gone from 1436 to 2437. Electricity, the last 2 years, we spent 74,600, 73,900. We were budgeting 70,000. So we wanted to be realistic, and we raised it to 74,000. There's no other increases till we come down to, everything's the same as last year. Ed Saros, for the computers, he's gone from 4,171 to 4,319. All the yellow blocks that we have in there, we get from you guys, because we buy our insurances, life insurance, and all the Blue Cross Blue Shield and all that type of stuff, medical insurances, they all come through the town as a group. So they're right now the same figures that we had last year, but I'm assuming that you're gonna see an increase in those, but we don't know what those are gonna be yet. We're budgeting, let's see, same on the telephone. Office, we went up a little bit. We were budgeting 13,000. Last 2 years, we spent 13,624, and then we spent 15,374. So we're increasing it to 14,500 to be a little closer, and that probably has a lot to do with going to quarterly billing instead of twice a year.
Rick, not to stop you, but is there any discussion to go back to twice-a-year bills?
I don't think so.
No?
I think people kind of like the smaller bills, you know.
Thank you.
I don't know, I haven't heard anything, nobody said anything about it, so.
Okay.
It is
I
more
know-
expensive, though.
Yeah, I know it was
The
initially
mailings
done
and
because the rates went up so much.
paper and everything else, the envelopes, and,
Yeah.
you know, it is, but everybody gets a little bit smaller bill now, you know. Equipment replacement. Last year we had 5,000, and this year we're budgeting 6,000. The reason is we spent 5,800, and then this year so far we've already spent 8,523. And equipment replacement is the booster pumps and things in the station. Our stations are now starting to get older, and so there's just more electric motors and booster pumps and things like that. They keep burning out, so just 'cause it's a little bit more money for maintenance of the buildings. Plus, we have a lot more buildings we ever used to have. And if we're gonna be looking to build another well, another treatment plant, so, you know, maintenance will go up on all those too. But that's the end of all the changes. Everything else is pretty much the same. That's gonna give us an increase of $51,017. But like I say, when the insurances and things will probably come in a little bit higher, that number will be a little bit more.
Rick, on the appointed official line, is that contract up? Is the water superintendent's contract up, so that was part of renegotiation?
Yeah, he didn't get a raise We moved it to July 1st rather than, because it was kind of ridiculous the way, I don't know how we got into it, but when you're negotiating for a pay raise and your contract's up in December, there's no funding for it. So you're getting a pay raise, and then there's no money in the budget to pay the pay raise, so you ended up stealing from another line item. So I suggested that we negotiate the contracts in January, and then we go to you guys, Finance Committee, town meeting, get them approved, and then they get the pay raise on July 1st, and it's funded. It just makes more sense. So that's the way we're doing it. So to accomplish that, he's actually getting a 2.5% raise over 18 months instead of 12 months. You know, he's getting cheated a little bit, but it puts it better for budgeting and everything else.
So it looks like you've made a number of changes to make the budget more closer to actual, which is good as far as increasing it, but there's a couple that are underspent that haven't been reduced. For instance, engineering pump testing. It looks like you haven't spent anything out of that in the past couple of years, and it's in here for $69,000.
That's the line item for testing for the new well.
That's that. We are concentrating on trying to get this station going. The engineer is looking at, that's a 5-year project. So it's sitting in there because we had some surplus and that's where it got stuck last year. It got stuck in the operating budget rather than an article. I like them in articles because you can carry them out over multiple years. But to build this pumping station, we're just starting to look at the permitting of it, and we're probably gonna be 2 or 3 years discussing with DEP if we can even build a well. And there's lots of engineering to do in between. So, but right now, we're concentrating on getting that number 1 well back up to that 1,000,000 gallons a day rather than 300,000 gallons a day or whatever.
So is it anticipated that this line will actually be utilized in the next year?
Oh, yeah, we're working on it now. Yeah, it's all gonna be, matter of fact, this annual town meeting, these articles are for special town meeting, we're gonna have articles to add. We're gonna find out what our surplus is, and we're gonna be adding money to it. We're gonna need about $5 million. So that right there is peanuts, that's just getting started.
Okay. On the revenue side, how are you trending this year, since you've reduced the rates? Will you be okay to meet the budget, or are you gonna have to?
We're fine.
Okay. And, are you anticipating an increase next year?
I doubt it. I doubt it because we're generating a little bit of a surplus right now. Each quarter, we're only 2 billing cycles into it. 2, right, Wayne?
We're on a third, so we have 1 more to go.
We just
So
finished one, but we haven't got that number yet, right?
Well, we have the number, and when I forecast out, we'll make budget.
Okay, yeah, so we're not far enough into the year to really tell, because the seasons are so different. You can have a wet summer or a dry summer, and it makes all the difference in the world in your revenues. But, we've been looking at it, and it looks like we're gonna generate another surplus, so, you know, I don't anticipate any. When we build the new pumping station, the new treatment plant, and the new wells, a lot of our money that we brought in from tie-ins got spent. So we're gonna be, I don't know where the money's coming from yet, but we haven't added a well since 1985, okay? And think about the number of subdivisions we built. So we've been drawing off of these wells that everybody else was using, so now we're short of water.
How about the backlog of money due to the water department? Last time we met, you said there was quite a bit owed from past years.
Close to 400,000.
Getting caught up on that, or are we still behind?
We're still high.
Yeah.
When do you shut it off? Do you ever?
You wanna be the one up there shutting them up?
We try not to. Sometimes we will go out and we have had shut-off programs, but it's kind of tough.
But you guys work out payment plans with people, and I know,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's quite a few are in payment plans to get caught up from past bills and whatnot, so
Yes.
people have options.
We had people in there, just last meeting in there. If they come in, they make an effort, we'll, do away with penalties and interest, as long as they keep up their payments. If they don't make their payments, they get the penalties and interest, but as long as they're making an effort, we work with them.
Is it mostly residential, or are there, like, small?
It's all, no businesses.
Any other questions on the water department budget?
No, but I do have something I'd like to say here. Being Donnie's last time there, he's not running this time, I'd like to thank him on behalf of the town of West Bridgewater for all the years of service that the Azak family has rendered to this town. And I was told today, between his father and them, there's over 70 years. So when you think water department, you think Azak, okay? With my conversation with Dave today, and I'd like to be somewhere we dedicate a street or a way. We discussed Sears Street and that, and being over there on Sears Street there, it's a kind of a hard thing to change. If people have all their deeds on the thing there. But I would like to have this discussed, and maybe the iron works up there, but I'd like to have something named after the Azak family, a street or a way, and I'd like to bring this up at a future meeting.
Thank you, Ralph.
Eldon, I thought the nice road that goes to the water tanks would be a
Water
nice,
tank, there you
nice
go.
salute to.
Well, I don't really know. I just want to bring it up, and I just feel it's well deserved.
Be the first one.
Because it's over 70 years between himself and his father and everything else, and
Congratulations.
I know that they're not going to thank you and your whole family.
I've enjoyed being a water commissioner, you know, it's time for me to move on, and I want to thank the board. You know, you've always been supportive of the water department. We had our days, but we always, at the end of the day, we has always had the best interest of the town, and I want to thank you for your
And we're certainly going to miss you. And
years.
that is a motion.
Okay,
Second.
I have a second. All
you.
those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
One of the interesting things is his father was elected the first time we ever built our own well. We were on Brockton's water. We only owned the distribution system until his father was elected.
Oh,
And he was here since the day we built our first well. It was an AZAC all the way through, building all the tanks and everything.
thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, thank you.
Thanks, Eldon.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Motion a second.
With you. Good luck to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We have a motion a second to pass on to the finance committee.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Library's not here yet. She's there? Hello. All right, budget, 6,100, West Bridgewater Public Library.
I have a little bit of an extra handout for you.
Wait 1 second for us, Ellen, to,
Sure.
okay.
Are some interesting statistics
Thank you.
of the
You could give one
library.
to the secretary also for the record.
Sure, of course.
Thank you.
And a trustee. Anyone else want one?
Thank you.
Sure. So I tried to be very frugal. At the same time, you do need to know that we're kind of in a state, we're still in a state of flux. I feel like we're turning the ship, and we're about halfway around to the direction we want to be in. And with that in mind, I needed to make sure that materials, of course, has to be maintained in order to apply for state grants, et cetera. The biggest change is just that there's been a lot of change in personnel. And we've added Jed Phillips as our assistant department head, which I would like to keep as a separate line, which that's sort of new this year on our budget, to have his line be pulled out, because I think it's just really good to keep those salaried positions separated from the clerical salaries, so you can just keep track of that from year to year.
That's going to be a non-union position.
Correct.
So that's good to break that out anyways.
Yeah.
Okay.
How many full-time versus part-time? You got a lot of part-time. over there.
Mostly part-time, yeah. Let's see, there are 4 of us now who are full-time. Jed and me, who are salaried. Nanette is also salaried, but she's part of the impending coming union. And Michelle is full-time. She's the head of circulation supervisor, head of youth services, assistant director, and director are all full-time. But everybody else, it's a nine-person department. Everybody else is part-time.
Thank you.
I don't want to,
What we're really looking for is major increases and decreases.
Right.
And an explanation of why, up or down.
Okay.
And any major changes to your structure or
yeah, there's major change. I blued, the part of the budget that is kind of blued,
we don't have that.
we don't have
total
that.
version.
Thank you.
It's this sort of the blued in area. It is an explanation
Thank you.
of what we're doing in terms of personnel. We've, lost positions, we've added his position. Together, if you include those positions, it is a 3% increase.
The total budget.
The total budget is 3%, and the salary lines that used to be just 1, but that are now currently broken out slightly more, amount to a 3% increase. Obviously, our longevity's gone down because people have retired. Fuel, I bumped up slightly. Electricity, I didn't. And what we've been trying to do is really turn the AC off, open the windows. We've got a beautiful building with tons of cross ventilation, so that's been pretty successful in terms of, obviously, in the heat of the summer, not so much, but fall and spring, it's nice just to get the fresh air, so that's zeroed out. Everything else is pretty much set. Property maintenance, we did need to bump up a bit. We just have we had quite a bit of heating work that we had to get done, and we have some electrical work that we're definitely going to need to get done in the upcoming year by Bill Wolf.
How's the building? Is that in generally good shape?
It's
or-
in good shape. I'm going for a capital request for a new flat roof. We got Russo Barr gave us he did an investigation of the flat roof. We've got the gabled roofs and we have a flat roof, and the flat roof is going to have to be addressed.
Part of the building is it?
Is that
it's-
a tar and gravel roof?
It's tar paper or whatever, asphalt roof.
Oh, asphalt, yeah, but, yeah, they go mostly to rubber now,
Yeah, well, maybe it is rubberized. Yeah, it's
The section
rubberized.
between the 2 peaks.
Yeah, they got the 2 peaks, and then the main section is flat, obviously slightly angled.
Has a little pitch.
We had a little bit of difficulty with it in August, but we had Verika come in. They did an excellent job, and we haven't had any damage, knock on wood, with all the storms and everything. But when Verika was up there, they said, you really need to address it, because I guess the peaked part of the roof had been done before my time, but it had been redone. The flat roof hadn't been done since it was built in '91, so.
There have been a few minor repairs.
Right.
made during that period, but no resurfacing.
I was actually the flat roof does have a little bit of a pitch, so it's not necessarily, it's not holding water, it's not.
No,
like our
no,
school roofs.
it drains
It does have a
into,
pitch back. I was just up there the other day looking at it, and
it drains into little valley kind of thing that runs off. Otherwise, the building is in pretty good shape. The sidewalk project was an immense success, and there are new handrails there, and everything makes it much more accessible. Other things that I did change, I increased the office supply budget because we were just chronically running out of money in that. I broke out dues and meetings and created a line for that, because I really think that the town budget should reflect that. As I professionalize the staff, I'm really expecting them to go to trainings, go to conferences, join professional organizations and things like that. And then at the bottom of the page, it's a little, I did this last year too, and I just thought it was kind of helpful for you to see. I'm trying to be as transparent as I can be in terms of The state requirement for materials is 73,000. Where are we going to get that from? You know, the difference between what I've budgeted for within the town budget and the requirement is $7,000. Friends of the Library is enormously helpful, and so I'm planning to ask them for $3,000 of it next year. And out of our state grants, we'll use $4,000. This year, we only used $2,000, so I'm using more of the state grant money for materials. But it's really money very well spent, and, you know, I just think that we need to do that. So we shouldn't have any problem meeting the state requirement. And then another source for professional development is going to be our revolving account, which is the money that is set aside from overdue fines. The thing with that is, if you look at the interesting statistics, you'll see that much of our checkouts are now, well, not much, but I would say about 30% of our checkouts are now online. So books don't become overdue, which is a good thing for the patron, but, you know, it kind of cuts into our
Helen,
revenue
20 cents
stream.
for a book that's overdue by 2 weeks. is
You'd be
not gonna happen.
surprised.
I know, it builds
You'd be
up quick.
surprised how much money
Oh, I wouldn't be so surprised. I have
people
2
pay-
kids that never return books.
people
so-
pay tens
Yeah.
of dollars at a time for overdues. But because, you know, more and more is going online, that, you know, so that's just something we have to be cognizant of. And then, you know, if you do look at the statistics, you know, our growth is just huge. We've had a 28% increase in checkouts from the previous year to last year. And then one underneath that yellow thing where it says 90,806 items of holdings, you'll see that almost 30,000 of that is virtual, which I'm excited by. But, you know, it's just a different way to use the library. Museum pass checkouts have really been through the roof. And then our reference questions there, you know, that you just gives you a snapshot of the kinds of things people come in to look to do with us. So that's kind of where our budget stands. Do you have any questions for me?
Board have any questions?
Do you track any statistics on users? How frequently they come, how many?
Yeah, we do. I don't think I have it in here, but we do.
I was just curious, that's all.
We don't do a good enough job because foot traffic into the building is done by hashtag. We borrowed, Sales Network has a people counter at the door. We put it in, it went berserk. Every time you touched the door, it would go off. And you think, well, you know, cut it in half because people go in, they go out. But you know what it's like in the afternoon, Jerry. The kids are in and out and in and out, and it was different. That's a challenge that we really do want to face, is accurately tracking how many people are coming into the building and what time of day.
I know the day I went over and met with the new assistant director, he had some ideas that he's used in other libraries, very
Right.
affordable, reasonable ways to track the foot traffic. But I think what Anthony's more asking is repetitive business, how much, how often are these people coming in? So I think, hugely, you're seeing a lot of new people coming into the library that
Yes.
haven't been before.
Right, yeah, it is true, and I didn't put that on those kinds of statistics. We had 30 new cards taken out since January. And then, of course, we do our email blast to, currently, the number of emails that we had at Christmas was 1,800. And then when I did the update, Sales sent me all the new emails, and we're up to 2,200. 2,200 people who receive our email information on a weekly basis. So we're heavily used for sure. What I'm most proud of is that we are now meeting other demographics, not just sort of the older reader or the preschool parents and toddlers. We've really got people who are coming in to do work, meet, have meetings there, study. Come over after school. It's a safe place to come and play games and stuff. So it's definitely, we've had a very large increase in foot traffic.
Is the money that you get from grants, is it up, or
It's been since I've been here, it's been steady, which is good.
where do you apply that on the budget?
that goes into, at the lower part there, it doesn't go into, this, what you're looking at is what the town request is.
The state grants.
The state grants go into, we get about $8,000 from the state, but that's, you know, that's federal money that sifts through the state and comes to us based on number of hours that we're open, like you say, traffic. It's all a big, it's a calculation that they do, and it's something that we use mostly to enhance our materials budget, but we also use it for professional development and, you know, travel and, you know, attending conferences and things like that.
Now, one thing that's changed, I think a number of years ago, we were always told everything has to go towards books, and now that's some flexibility. I know
Right.
my discussion with David a couple
Yeah.
years back, and it's now able to go into technology.
Yes,
and,
thank goodness.
Other programs, not necessarily just paper materials on the shelf.
Right,
So that's a
right.
big change. and
It's a
that's
huge
good,
change.
'cause I know a lot of people felt we're investing in an antiquated system, and now we're investing in the future with a lot of
Right,
technology.
exactly. And the thing is, the electronic resources that we get are constantly being updated, so it's not as if you have to maintain your subscriptions, but they're, you know, they're cutting edge, they're really state of the art. And it's a tribute to the state library system that we have those. Those are heavily funded, you know, by the state in general, you know, and then, of course, we get our piece of the pie, so to speak.
Right. Any other questions?
You certainly have done a great job since you've been here, and
Thank you, it's been really
extra
fun.
hours,
I've
and we
thoroughly
thank you for
enjoyed
that.
it. Great.
Any further questions?
No, motion to pass on to the finance committee?
Do I have a
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I'm going to ask for a 1-minute recess.
Here.
Just gonna run down the hall.
How you doing? Oh, you got Mr. McCarthy with you?
Eldon, how are you?
Good. Yourself?
Good, thank you.
How you doing, Steve?
Anthony, how are you? Hey, Dave.
Stevie, how are you?
Thanks. Busy these days.
Are you?
Yeah.
Do you ever say you're not?
No. Yeah, selling pencils out in the street or doing the
You know
job,
what?
so, yeah.
If you're not busy, the economy's not doing well, so we don't want you not to be busy.
Wicked, wicked. We are next, right?
You are.
I'm taking the, from the on-deck circle into the batter's box, yes.
You are ready to swing.
I'll call you, I'll come up and see you sometime soon.
Mr. Donahue, how are you?
How are you?
All right.
Always there, Steve. No,
Yeah, you know it. I know, last time I walked
Hang in
in,
there.
you're getting ready for your, whatever, your budgets or something, so I don't want to bother you.
No. Oh, feel free.
So how's everything going?
Good, good, good.
Good?
How about yourself? I see, I ride by the shop, you're sitting there reading the paper, you know, every morning, so. Your cronies haven't showed up yet.
The place is,
Yeah.
Yep, so what I'm gonna do is,
Unbelievable.
we haven't.
Yeah, good for you though, keep going at it, you know, good. It's good.
So once the vendor we contract with, it's, the water department will send me,
if it's there tomorrow when I get there, I got a big hole in the roof up there.
do it on
Leaking
one
like a-
warrant,
yep.
and I'll do.
How did you ever make out with your
What
attorney,
about
what's
the
name
lines?
there, AZAC, on that rubbish problem? Did it ever get solved?
That's a good question.
Well, it brought, you know, remember, they were charging it, and he told you not to pay it, there was interest being accrued?
I had to pay it. That was wrong
Yeah, I'll
advice.
probably have to have the Board of
The
Selectmen.
most, yeah, I told you that,
We
but,
take it out of everybody's budget,
not, you know,
especially
that's
advice.
what you heard, but
Yeah,
has that been
I'll-
solved? Are you, is he,
So I'll,
you gonna work on splitting the bill or something,
there's no bill yet, so that's
next
why
door
I'm
there
coming
with the
here.
kitchen? No?
And I'm not gonna do it as a
I'm not
transfer.
splitting him, I just
do it as
use,
a
I use his,
you know,
rubber
Yeah,
band.
so you won't get the bill
Transfer to
anymore?
the account.
I get the bill all the time.
Yeah,
I have to go down there and get it abated.
yeah. Just make sure you do that, yeah.
Gotta make it do it.
No,
They love tacking on the interest, so.
Oh,
do enough.
they love that.
I'll,
I remember that was an issue, and
No, we'll do the
I haven't
warrant.
asked it the last
just
couple
don't have
times
a
I was in
vendor- I don't
there.
even know
I
the vendor name.
Okay, what are you gonna do?
You just got, you got bad advice, you know, George didn't know any better,
Directly
so.
bill it to every department.
How did you fear the storm?
Oh, I'm still getting hit. I got a big hole up in the shop there right now.
Oh, is that from the storm? Oh,
It's a combination of deterioration over the years and storm and everything, every damn thing, you know what I mean?
I mean, the end result.
No, they're gonna do. I'm getting, prices now. But they can't even give you a price, because they don't know when they start ripping it apart, what it's gonna run into.
I know, it probably haven't been looked at in years, so you'll probably find more than there is.
Thing, I don't know. How you doing?
All right, how are you all
right.
tonight? What is it?
Gary back in here and gets this thing going.
Yeah.
Ask and you shall receive.
Are we waiting for Cheryl?
No.
No, Cheryl wasn't here tonight.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we are back in session, and next item on the agenda is the Board of Assessors budget, Budget 1410.
You're all set?
1 second.
Sure. Take your time, Jerry.
As you know, it's not your first time at bat. We ask that you go over major increases, decreases, with an explanation of each and/or any changes in your department.
Okay. The budget in front of you, gentlemen, the FY18 that was approved, the bottom line is $230,866. And for the upcoming budget FY19, we are requesting an amount of $235,170. In answer to your question, Jerry, in that, the biggest increase, well, actually, if you look over, the net increase of those two amounts, which I think is a good thing, is less than 2%. This is the year, last year we brought on John Donio, Principal Assessor, full-time, and under the contractual agreement, we're going to increase his salary to $82,000. And the same time, we lost the services. She went to another office of a long-standing, excellent employee, Jean Upton. So we brought in a clerk at I believe, the minimum salary. So there, she's $9,500 less. With John's increase in 12, the increase was less than $3,000 on the personal services. Any other minor increases you see there are contractual. One thing I will say that John did a good job on, I find it excellent that Patriot Property, that does the revaluation services for the town, we just started a new 3-year contract with them. Part of the contract, is the licensing fees and such. That's sort of a slight increase. But the meat and potatoes of it, to go out and do the town and do our property values, they stayed the same. 18, they're starting a three-year cycle at $20,000, and that's what they were for 15, 16, and 17. So that stayed the same, which was good. And if you ask me, I guess they're doing a good job. Our abatement response to the town of our taxable parcels, I don't know, almost 3,000 or whatever, we only had 50 abatement applications. So that's not bad. Just a quick, I'd like to mention this, as I did in the classification hearing, that with our full-time assessor, our principal assessor, like I said before at that meeting, it's hard to put a number on it. He went from part-time to full-time up to $70,000. In the last year, since he's had that increase, the full-time status, he's gone into the Boston court, the appellate tax board, for us twice, and we've prevailed both times. So, with us doing that work, John going in to do that, I can't put a money thing on it, a money amount, but certainly he's paid for himself when a lot of these cases are 2-3 years at a time, and we have some other smaller ones that he can go in on. Something large, maybe not, but he would assist. That, along with his getting his knowledge of the GIS system that he's running for the town, hands-on stuff like that. It was definitely, as we've said before, and we'll continue to say, it was a win-win for the town. Unfortunately, for the reval vendor, we had of the 28,000, 8,000 of that is for their licensing fees and for our use of their camera system. That went up, I believe, $395 in the previous year. That's something that every town has to enlist. That when you use a revaluation company, you got to bring their licensing in their in their business applications into your office, so they make you pay for that. The rest of the stuff is pretty status quo. We had an increase. We're looking for an increase. We're not sure yet on the mapping. That has to go out to bid with tie and bond. We have, what was in that budget, John, 4,000? I forget. Yeah. 4,500. Yeah, 4,500. We're not sure, that might be less or more. The other things, equipment replacement, just the standard stuff of, office machinery or desk or something. But, again, like I started out, the net increase from the 18 approved to the 19 requested is less than 2%, which I think, you have to agree with is pretty reasonable to be level funded, level services.
The only question I got out of this budget, which it doesn't reflect now I know you guys go in once in a while and John saves money there, but it doesn't reflect, what do we pay in legal services as far as, have you got any idea?
Yes and no. We depending on what the nature of.
It comes out of the legal budget.
Right, and like, for example, we just had an attorney in that filed what they call discovery interrogatories. It's pretrial motions and such, so we have to use town counsel. We have a big case with the solar, so in answer to the question, I'm not sure of the amount, but we're afforded, David Gay's assistance, or if it's something, really special, we can go outside counsel. I don't have the exact amount, it doesn't come out of our budget. What we're in charge of, what I want to see, and going down the road, is the overlay surplus. That we're charged with setting the tax rate, putting out fair and equitable values, and the overlay, which takes care of the exemptions, the senior work-off, and the abatements. So to me, we're in charge of that, and that's what we're overseeing. When we have to, we bring in, the council fees and such, but hopefully most of the time when it's brought in, it's for a good cause. Sometimes to me, it's needless, but, that's something to be argued later. And again, in answer to the exact dollar amount, I'm not sure, but I'm hoping it's money well spent.
David, you got any idea what?
I don't, I break it down, I just don't know off the top of my head, but I can easily get that information.
Yeah, it's not a lot, Eldon,
No, I just kind of wondered, because usually when you get to a budget,
Yeah,
that's the question that I had.
yeah.
Usually given to us on the annual breakdown by council, and that David presents to the board.
Right.
It's outlined separately for each department, Eldon. I think we get it about once a month.
And we wouldn't, bring them in as far as the court work unless that we've exhausted, except for the last one that came in, she wanted up front, but most of the time, it's not done to the last second.
Pretty minimal from July to January, a few $100.
A few $100, Anthony says,
Okay.
so far.
Good.
I think at town meeting, we were hoping to see consultant services? We were hoping to see an offset, a little bit of decrease in that with a full-time assessor. Is that line item going to go down?
Well, I'm not sure, but it's staying the same. That 20 grand, at least, I've been with other communities where that's gone up on a 3-year deal, it's gone up 4, 5, 6%. So at least, I can't answer that for sure. We're hoping, Jerry, but at least, like I just said, through FY 18, through FY 20, it stayed the same as the last 6 years. It stayed the same. Part of that is definitely attributable to bringing a full-time guy, and we don't have to meet out some of the jobs that they were doing. But if it does, it certainly it could go down depending on what we do. But you got to remember something too, which is I don't know the best way to explain it. The Department of Revenue that certifies all the communities, they've now chopped a lot of people out. The old days they came in with an army of people, recertification. Now it's all accelerated IT stuff. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. Statistics and values and such. A lot of stuff going on that John oversees. That plays his role downstairs too. So it's not only just dealing with a vendor, but at least so I can say that the 20 grand's been the same 6 years going.
And how many months have we had, how many months have you been full-time?
Since July 1st.
Anything else?
Can I say something about our budget?
You're a board member.
All right, well, I just wasn't sure.
Hey.
I just wanted to say that when we did the contract for John, this is my first year on a board. And when we did the contract, one thing I didn't like, and it seems to be going throughout all the boards, is that we can just give a raise. Like, we gave John a $12,000 raise, and that money's not already in the budget. I just don't think that's fair to the taxpayers, and that's why I didn't vote for his contract. But really for us this year, it's kind of a moot point since one employee left who was at a high rate, and we hired somebody at a lower rate. But that's something I think all of us, our boards, need to be thinking about and be thinking more for the taxpayer. Because if we're going to give somebody a large increase like that, And not that John's not worth it, but I just think that's a big burden to all of a sudden say, well, we need all this extra money, taxpayer now has to pay it. We as a board should look at our own budget and see where we can cut back, even if it means cutting out some of our own salary.
Well, absolutely, a town meeting can cut your budget, and it's up to you guys to find the adjustments.
Just one thing on that is that we just didn't pick that increase out of the air. We did a salary survey, and believe you me, like, for example, the John Donahue over in Easton gets over 100 grand, and so on and so on and so on.
I don't think the question's the dollar amount.
No,
I think
but
it's that it's not funded until town meeting.
Right, that's unfortunate, but, certainly the funding and or the position is certainly warranted. If you chop it down, then believe me, they've run into it in a neighboring community, you get what you pay for.
Well, no, and I'm not saying that John's not worth it, but what I'm saying is, like, we recently had a problem with a contract that resulted in a court case. So we spent a lot of money, so because we signed a contract, we're obligated for it. So I just think we put the cart before the horse in situations like that, and we leave the town open for another lawsuit if something doesn't get funded, because of course we have to pay them.
Okay, I mean, unfortunately, it's pretty standard.
No, I realize it may be standard, but
Yep.
it doesn't necessarily make it the best way or the right way to do things.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Eldon?
Oh, move it.
Okay, motion to move on to the Finance Committee for
Yep.
review.
Okay.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it. Yep, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
You're good.
David, we moving back to your budgets?
Sure.
Where we left off?
Hear it until I'm talking about you.
Town Council.
So town council, we level funded at $87,000. It's the same as year over year.
Okay. Motion to pass on to Finance Committee.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Budget 5430, Veterans.
So on veterans, right now, we have level funded it. The request last year was $83,832. We've level funded it. However, you will see that we had a person move into town 2 years ago that we thought was going to have higher benefits. And as these things happen, if somebody passes away, we don't have to pay those benefits, obviously. So right now, we have a surplus in that line, so I may be looking to reduce it. I've already spoken to the veterans agent. I want to make sure that we don't have somebody else move into town over the next 60 days. If not, you may see, when we go through our final vetting process, I may adjust that number. But again, I've already spoken to the Veteran Services about it, and he understands that.
We do have a number of active military young men and women right now active, so maybe it's good to leave a cushion in there in case any return. I know a percentage of that's refundable, right, to the town?
Yeah, 75% comes back, but it doesn't come into the next year,
Right.
and it does not replenish the budget. It goes to the general fund.
Okay, thank you. Motion to pass on to the Finance Committee.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next budget is Cable TV Committee. It's $1,100. It is funded the same year over year.
Why don't we go through the rest of David's budgets, and then we'll motion them all unless we have a hold on any of them.
Okay.
1750, Planning
Yep.
Board?
So Planning Board, basically, it is level funded except for contractual increases in the clerical salary and the longevity salary. Next budget is Board of Appeals. At this point, it is level funded as well. You will take a vote for clerical salaries that are non-union. We usually give 2.5%, so we'll adjust them in a minor, but other than that, it's all been level funded. Rent control is the exact same thing. That budget has been level funded year over year at $36.52. Next budget is ADA Committee. That budget has been level funded at $500. And the last budget is Municipal Building Needs Committee. That budget has been level funded at $14.54. But again, that is a non-union clerical salary. You will take a vote. We'll tweak that up a little bit as we go through the budget season.
Motion to approve budgets motion to pass on budgets 1560, 1750, 1760, 1850, 1920, and 1945.
So moved with the
Second.
addition of 5430.
Oh, thank you. Motion second, all those in favor? Aye. Communication reports from boards, commissions, committees, and town officials. Nothing. Correspondence from the public to determine a course of action. Nothing. Town administrators report.
Sure. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. So two requests to use town grounds to inform you about. One is that the school does an annual fundraiser at the transfer station in the corner of Howard Street and Spring Street. It will be on May 12th. in the morning hours, and that has been approved, and the chiefs have already signed off on it. And WYAA, as they do on an annual basis, will have their parade and have their opening day on April 28th. And so we've signed off on those roads. Again, the chiefs have already signed off, and all the department heads have been notified. After that, I want to do a follow-up on the storm. I know you guys discussed it earlier. I've never been more proud of the people that work in this town and the residents that were very helpful. As you know, I spent a bunch of time here Friday night driving around in my personal car. Then on Saturday, I spent more than half the day here driving around with Chris Iannatelli. Spent some time at the Council on Aging, went up to the parks because, as you said, we were concerned about the seniors. We also had a house fire in the middle of all of it where fire people came out. Think of the driving wind that we had. They had to contain that immediately so that way we can make sure that it didn't catch on to another building that was very close to it. We were so busy that we had to call in Brewster Ambulance, and our firefighters and EMTs responded. We have a new fire chief. He was excellent. Marilyn Mather, you can't say enough about. She slept there on Saturday night. It's always nice to walk in, and after she's been there for 60 hours, to still get a really big hug from her and then a cup of soup. But our employees at the Council on Aging, everybody was the town response was fantastic. Our highway guys, our public works guys were out there cutting the trees, getting everything off the road as quickly as they possibly can. It was all hands on deck. Again, this is their weekend. Everybody would like to have weekends off. They were out there, and although National Grid deserves a lot of credit for what they did, I also think that our guys deserve a lot of credit because the communication they had with them, and also the fact that we cleared the trees as quickly as we could, so the crews, because the bucket trucks from National Grid are not clearing the trees. They're on the ground, we're moving them. And our town response was phenomenal. And I want to say thank you to all of them. But the other thing I want to stress is this. There are some times that we get frustrated during the budget season, that we look at a line item and we say, geez, you know what? We funded at $18,000, but we only spent $13,000. The reason that government exists is usually for crisis situations. We don't have enough manpower usually when we have these crisis situations, so we put a lot of stress on them. That's all well and good, but if 12 people stayed over at the Council on Aging, and if we had the thought process that we said, we're not going to fund for cots, right? And then all of a sudden they had nowhere to sleep. And the argument is, well, we haven't used those cots in 3 years. Well, this year we might use them multiple times. Those are the things that we have to think of, and I always use this as an example. We have a nuclear fleet in our armed forces. We have been fortunate because we've never used them. But we don't pay for it because we hope to push the button. It's the same thing on the local level. We have to make sure that our guys have all the right equipment, the right vehicles. They do. They're doing a really good job. We probably have to look at a little bit more infrastructure. I have a meeting with all department heads tomorrow to determine exactly what we had and what we're going to need going forward. But our residents depend on us. Given the circumstance, I think they did an excellent job, and I just wanted to commend them.
Absolutely. And David, in the midst of the storm is when the fire happened, and we absolutely had no problem. The other towns came to our aid. Rainham was covering the station. A number of other departments, I think East Bridgewater and Brockton, also responded to the fire in the middle of each of their communities in a crisis. They came together to make sure they helped out their neighboring communities, and it was good to see them all hands on deck. And obviously, a house fire is the priority, but it's easy for a town to say we can't help out because of everything going on, and our issues were everywhere in the surrounding communities, and they all came to our rescue, so.
Yeah, just one thing I'll say is that Friday night, if you were here, it sounded like a war zone because there were sirens everywhere. I mean, everybody was just flying in every direction because the 911 calls were just off the hook with lines coming down, trees coming down, and the guys were in a stressful situation, but they're obviously well-trained. They did a fantastic job. And you're right, Jerry, I will say, Mr. Chairman, is that house fire, the one thing that people should know is that although they were transported for smoke inhalation, they lived. And it's a tribute to our guys because that was a pretty good fire that was going up there and wiped out the whole top floor.
Denise Reyes for Selectmen. This isn't a campaign pitch, is it?
No, it's not. Just a quick question. Are you aware if there's any state funding available to the residents for damage? Many of our residents had their electricity go out. On top of that, their sump pumps stopped working. and they were flooded out, and with water staying
That's why we,
that period of
yeah,
time.
that's why we declared emergency, so any state funding, which again, still being worked out along with numbers and all that, will come down from the state what's going to be available.
But I doubt it would be for private residents, it's usually for municipalities, state buildings, things
It's
like
not
that.
for private residents.
Last time, well, when
So-
we got FEMA money a couple years ago was only for.
I've been checking
municipalities.
FEMA regularly, and there's been
It
nothing
takes them a
listed.
while.
It
So I
does
didn't
take them a
know.
while to even tell us what they're going to give us. Sometimes it's months and months till
Yeah.
we can find out if we're getting
At
anything.
least a year before you get a check.
Yep.
Actually, no, Anthony. Several years ago, I applied for FEMA. I had the check within 2 weeks.
Well, you're saying in the
After
past,
the,
the town has
occasion.
had issues.
Oh, the town has had
Yeah.
issues.
After the actual incident occurred, it was at least a year before we had a check.
Yeah, so the governor declared a state of emergency, so the federal government makes funds available, then they will flow in our direction. We also did it locally, so that we will be entitled to it. I also was on the phone with Senator Timilty's office earlier, because I informed him that we've incurred overtime expense, and they were hoping to be able to get reimbursed as part of the process, so his office is well aware of it as well. In reference to private, I agree with you that there will be some concerns. Hopefully FEMA will make some money available, but I do know that National Grid has always taken the position in the past that it's an act of God. So hopefully the money would have to come from the government.
Is there, other than residents calling FEMA, I know they can call and start
We'll look into it, and if it's available, we'll post it on the hub, and we'll post it on our page.
Okay.
Or a link at least, so people can do it individually, because we can't do it for everybody, but we'll post a link and
So
let
they
the
can do
information
their
be
own
out.
application.
I don't like to put people on the spot, but did anybody see our rep from Brockton there during this crisis?
I
Don't
do
know.
not.
Okay.
All right, moving on. Letter to cable providers.
Yep, so what I do is I just provide you one draft letter that we've done. This has been up for discussion the last couple of meetings. I've done a whole bunch of research on this. There are only 4 providers in Massachusetts in this area. The 4 providers are Comcast, who we obviously have, Verizon, RCN Communications, and Cox Communications. None of them currently do business in West Bridgewater. So what we're trying to do, this is a form letter. We're actually going to try to get individual names because nobody at correspondence is going to answer. But we've been digging, trying to get individual people, because I can tell you, coming from the business sector, that there has to be regional sales reps. So we're trying to find the regional sales rep. We will send out the letters. We'll make additional communication with them. I've been in touch with also Ben Smith, our TV cable manager. They're going to do the same thing from their advisory board. So we're going to try to put some pressure on some outside sources and see if we can get competition in the town.
David, is there anything that would stop another municipality, Taunton Municipal Lighting has their own internet service. Is there anything that would stop us from inviting them to come to town?
Yeah, can't do it. The reason National Grid on the electric side, or say Comcast on the other side, is that they are allowed to basically have monopolies because they're regulated monopolies. Part of that regulation is that they can't go up in their fees without state approval. They have to go through the normal process. For example, earlier we talked about the poles, how we have to pay to reaffix our wires. That's established through the Department of Public Utilities because we collect taxes from them, right? But we don't charge rent, and they don't charge us rent. So that's all established. My point is that, for lack of a better term, all of these fiefdoms have been approved to the Department of Public Utilities, so it allows them to be able to cover their expenses without competition.
That's too bad. I know, Braintree has their own power plant along with cable company and whatnot, so we'll look into every possible option that's available to our residents. All right, is there anything else? I do have one other question. I'd like to, again, push with the property owners at Hess. It's now Speedway. It's an eyesore. I'd like to see if we can get them to clean up the property. I'd like to see if they would sell the property to the town for $1 with some understanding that they're going to remove the canopy and whatnot. I don't care if we have to pitch in some to clean it up. I wouldn't want to take a valuable piece of property off the tax roll if it were viable for another business to go there. As we talked with them the last time, they were talking about putting in a restriction so it can never be a gas station. I believe it's been closed for at least over 2 years, so they wouldn't be grandfathered there anymore anyways, being right in the wetlands. So gas station's not a viable option. And expanding the footprint, I believe, isn't an option. So if we could check with the building department and the Conservation Commission first to see if my understanding's correct, that property is basically useless.
I can definitively tell you from the Conservation Commission it mostly is, because John's already been out there to flag the wetlands. I've been in touch with the attorney there. The truth of the matter is, I think they're based out of Ohio, but I've been in consultation with him. He's a nice guy, but this is just, it's not a priority for them. And we don't have any real mechanism to force them, because they own the property. We don't have the ability to fine them. They moved the tanks, if you recall, at one time they weren't. That was our only ability. We were gonna be able to fine them, and as soon as we sent them that information, they got the tanks out. But we're just in a difficult position at this point.
Well, I think what we could do is find out what the cost would be to remove the blacktop, or even a guesstimate from the DPW if they could do it, and the canopy and whatever structural things. I also want to make sure there's not an environmental concern still. I know there was a property cleanup there. I don't know if the soils have been cleaned. It's an eyesore. It's going to continue to be an eyesore. Next to nothing can go there. We would never allow a gas station again because of the wetlands and the current regulations. So if it meant if they want to gift it to the town, as soon as we're sure there's no environmental issues, maybe put that out there as an option, but I think they'd have to help us clean up the site first.
Yep.
I'd like to make that a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor?
One other thing Dave brought to my attention, in your beacon there, you'll see it, the opioids, the pharmaceuticals, and I'd like to put this on in our next meeting there, to vote, and it's all these drug companies that got all that stuff, and they got very addicted, all that pain medication, and people are in a lot of trouble out there.
It's the municipal class action lawsuit.
There's a lawsuit that's out involved in now, and Dave asked how I felt about us joining it. It's not gonna cost us anything.
No, as I spoke to you earlier, I'm fortunate, I happen to know the lead counsel in Massachusetts. He called me on my cell phone, we had a discussion about it. I need to review it and vet it a little bit more, but it does look like we have an opportunity to be able to join on to the lawsuit, and it's not gonna cost the town any money. They would litigate it. Obviously, it would be based on a contingent fee, but based on everything I currently know, it makes sense, but I need to vet it a little bit more, and legal counsel has already received it, and they're vetting it as well.
So you just would like to see it on the agenda at the next meeting for more information?
Yeah, I want him to research it and,
No, we are.
and put it on the agenda, and so you get the information there, because if it's something there that, and there's so many communities already have joined it.
Correct.
Neil?
Something to say, I was listening to what Dave was saying.
Oh, okay.
I just say on those things there, gotta be careful, the ambulance chases. And these lawyers jump onto this, like the pension funds, they watch for the fraud, and they'll say, well, make sure nobody loses money, and they go out and end up suing. Like CVS was sued by this company that was on a pension board, make sure nobody's stealing the money, it's not being diverted. And this is what some of these people are, ambulance chases. They might do a good cause, they give you this much, and they get this much.
All we're doing right now is put it on the agenda for discussion. Yep. You might be in the seat when it actually comes up for discussion, Neil.
Neil, just trying to research it.
You might be. You can take some pictures. I'm taking the seat with me.
I'll get another one.
All right, anything else? All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. We're going to go into executive session. I'll entertain a motion to enter an executive session, not to return to open session, discuss strategy with respect to litigation, specifically Kruger versus the town of West Bridgewater, and to discuss strategy with the respect to collective bargaining, specifically the library union and firefighter union respectively, since in my opinion, negotiating in open session would have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the town. Roll call vote.
Marrero, yes.
Kinahan, yes.
Lawrence, yes. We will not reconvene to open session. Good night, and thanks for watching. Thanks for everyone coming.